Libra, dear soul, you are standing at the edge of something irreversible. A decision from the universe has already been made, and whether you're ready or not, a permanent goodbye is approaching. This isn't a gentle closing. This is a cosmic severing. And you're not here by accident. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where the stars are not just symbols, they're messages. Messages waiting for the right soul to arrive. And Libra, that soul, is you. If you've been feeling like something's off, like you've been emotionally exhausted, energetically disconnected, or silently begging for clarity, then this reading is your confirmation. That inner restlessness? That moment of hesitation before clicking this video? That wasn't random. That was the pull of divine timing. Because today, you and I are going to walk through the truth together. A truth your intuition already suspects. Someone in your life has been draining your light under the disguise of love, loyalty, or history. But the time has come to release them completely. No more half endings. No more bargaining with the energy that's been holding you hostage. You're not just being asked to let go. You're being called to be reborn. And before we go further, let me say this with a full heart. Thank you for being here. Your presence is sacred. Every like, every comment, every share, every subscriber, each one is more than just a number. It's a ripple of energy that keeps this channel alive, thriving, and vibrating with truth. It's because of you that we're able to deliver these messages to thousands who need them most. So thank you from the depths of my soul for joining me today. Now, take a breath, Libra. Let your heart be still. Because the next few minutes will bring clarity that your spirit has been asking for in silence. Some of you have prayed, God, just show me what I'm not seeing. And He heard you. As the word says in Jeremiah 33 verse 3, call to me, and I will answer you, and show you great and mighty things, which you do not know. And that's exactly what this reading will do. Reveal what's been hidden. Confirm what you've been doubting. And open a new path, but only if you're ready to take the first step. So if something inside you, even a whisper, feels like this message is meant for you, don't ignore it. Comment below right now, I claim my release. I'm ready to begin again. This declaration is not just for you, it tells the universe that you're ready to receive. And before we go further, pause and reflect. What has your soul been quietly begging you to let go of? Who still has access to your heart even though they no longer deserve a seat there? Libra, stay with me. Because what we're about to uncover is breathtaking. And what waits for you on the other side of goodbye is everything you've been hoping for. Let's begin. There are moments in our lives when everything that once felt soft, safe, and familiar begins to shift subtly at first, then all at once. Libra, this is one of those moments. The energetic pattern surrounding you now is not chaotic for the sake of disruption, it's sacred. What you're feeling is the undeniable pulse of the universe calling you into alignment. And when the judgment card rises in your field, it is never by accident. It is a cosmic invitation that cannot be postponed. It asks not for polite introspection but for full-bodied truth. This is not a whisper, it is a thunderclap that echoes through the soul. Judgment, astrologically tied to Pluto's transformative power, brings finality with mercy and awakening with consequence. For Libra, a sign so often tethered to balance, diplomacy, and peacekeeping, this card serves as both confrontation and liberation. You are not being asked to destroy harmony, you are being asked to stop calling illusion by the name of peace. Because what you've been maintaining wasn't harmony, was it? It was exhaustion masked as grace. Compromise that bled into self-erasure. You've been bending to keep something intact that's already cracked at the root. This is where you stop being the scale that measures the needs of others, and instead become the sword that cuts through what's false. In numerology, judgment aligns with the number 20, a number of awakening, spiritual evaluation, and decisions that demand courage. It carries the essence of review, of soul audit. Think of it like this: everything that's led you here, every conversation you dismissed, every red flag you pacified, every moment your intuition stirred but you swallowed it out of guilt, has been tallied by the universe. Not in punishment, but in preparation. Preparation for this exact point in time where you are asked to choose yourself fully, even if it means releasing something or someone you once swore you'd never walk away from. But please understand, this is not about abrupt endings for the sake of drama. It's about divine timing. Just as autumn doesn't apologize for the leaves it must shed, neither should you. You are entering a harvest season of the soul, and what is not meant to grow with you cannot remain attached to your roots. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. And clarity, dear Libra, is your freedom. The energy in your life now mirrors the sacred process of refinement. Like fire removing impurities from gold, this judgment moment will burn through your excuses, your avoidance, your emotional negotiations, and what will remain is not loss, but purity. A return to your original light. This kind of surrender, the one that comes after 1,000 inner debates, is what creates space for true grace to enter. And grace, in its highest form, is not passive. It's powerful. In moments like this, I encourage you to pause, not in fear, but in reverence. Consider what it means to finally tell yourself the truth. Not the polished version you offer others. Not the version you rehearse to keep the peace. The raw, unfiltered knowing that something, deep down, has reached its expiration. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. If you've ever found yourself praying not necessarily with words, but with your weariness, asking for a sign, asking for relief, asking for the courage to walk away from what you've outgrown, this is it. You're not being tested. You're being set free. And though it may feel like something is being taken, what's actually happening is a divine clearing so that what's truly aligned with your future can finally arrive. Honor that. Don't rush it. And don't rationalize staying where your soul keeps trying to leave. When you let go of the false version of peace, you don't step into chaos, you step into truth. And truth, dear Libra, will never betray you. It will only deliver you back to yourself. Sometimes the pursuit of peace becomes the very prison that holds us captive. And Libra, no one understands this better than you. With your natural devotion to harmony, to fairness, to the delicate balancing act of emotions and expectations, you've spent years perfecting the art of smoothing over discomfort, yours and others. But what happens when that elegance begins to crack from the inside out? When the scales you've tried so hard to keep level begin to tilt, not from outside conflict, but from internal fatigue? This is where your soul is now asking for something deeper than balance. It's asking for truth. Not the kind of truth that's socially palatable or aesthetically pleasing, but the kind that rattles the silence. The kind that feels disruptive, not because it's wrong, but because it's real. The Tower and the reverse Three of Swords together paint a story that is tender and raw. Someone has been benefiting from your grace without reciprocating your depth. Someone has read your compassion as compliance. And in trying to keep things peaceful, you've allowed your own needs to evaporate. Think of it like this: imagine you're standing in a crystal clear glass room. Everything inside sparkles, and from the inside, it feels safe. It's orderly. You've kept it clean, bright, untouched by chaos. But what you're refusing to look at is the world just outside that glass. A landscape left wild and neglected. You've created a fragile sanctuary of aesthetics and control, but beyond it lies the truth you've been afraid to face. Maybe that truth is a relationship you've outgrown. A partnership that no longer honors your value. A dynamic where you give endlessly, but feel emptier each day. And here's the tender part, Libra: this isn't about blaming yourself. You weren't wrong to try. You weren't foolish to hope. It's okay that you believed in the beauty of the connection, even when the cracks appeared. That's who you are. Someone who believes in the possibility of healing. Someone who holds space for others to grow. But at what cost to yourself? The universe, in its wisdom, is not judging you. It's redirecting you. There comes a point where the maintenance of false peace begins to break your spirit more than any confrontation could. And that's what this moment is. A sacred unraveling. The chance to trade illusion for clarity. And clarity, while uncomfortable, is never cruel. It liberates. It clears space. It makes room for what is true to find you. Even in daily life, we often find ourselves wearing emotional masks, polished smiles, polite agreements, swallowed feelings. Sometimes faith, too, becomes ritualized instead of real. We pray without presence, forgive without boundaries, and love without truth. But grace doesn't mean overextending yourself until there's nothing left. It means knowing when to step back, breathe, and trust that endings are just as holy as beginnings. If you've been afraid to stir the waters because you feared what might rise, know this: what's waiting on the other side of disruption is a deeper, richer peace, one that doesn't require your silence to survive. You were not born to be agreeable. You were born to be whole. Give yourself permission to step out of that glass room. Let the air hit your face. Let your voice be heard again, not just in words but in the choices you make. When you stop preserving what only appears peaceful, you create space for real joy to arrive, joy that doesn't demand you disappear to receive it. And maybe, just maybe, the version of you that's been waiting behind the walls is ready to be seen. Clarity doesn't always arrive as a grand awakening. Sometimes, it shows up in the subtlest of ways: a sentence said in passing, a photo you weren't meant to see, a familiar voice that suddenly feels foreign. Libra, the energy surrounding you now is steeped in symbols. And within those symbols lies the message you've been unconsciously seeking. At this point in your journey, the universe is not shouting. It's whispering. And it's those whispers, quiet, unassuming, that often carry the most undeniable truths. Your chart is ruled by Venus, the planet of beauty, harmony, and connection. But Venus also governs values, and right now, you're being gently but firmly invited to realign with your true values, not the ones you've maintained to keep the peace. The Queen of Wands reversed, alongside the reversed Four of Wands, presents a fascinating energetic mirror. It suggests the presence of someone close to you, likely feminine in energy, whose role in your life has been complicated. She may appear to be a confidant, a well-meaning friend, a consistent figure in your social or family circle. But beneath the surface, her actions or omissions are influencing your perception of reality. And in the next few days, something will slip through the veil. This woman may be the one who finally tells you what others wouldn't dare say. Or, conversely, she could be the very person you've trusted, who has quietly contributed to the illusion you've lived inside. That's the paradox of energy. It reveals itself when you're ready, and only then. Don't rush the process. Don't search too hard. Just become present, more than usual. Watch who walks into the room. Watch who avoids your gaze. And especially, watch for the ones dressed in light, literal or energetic. What's hidden often cloaks itself in purity to avoid detection. But your heart, Libra, is intuitive enough to know the difference between true light and cleverly painted shadow. If someone shows up in your orbit wearing soft colors, offering gentle words, don't immediately judge by appearances. Feel instead. What's your body telling you when they speak? What sensations rise in your chest or gut when their name is mentioned? These are not coincidences. They are internal alerts, your soul's way of processing energy long before your mind catches up. In astrology, we call this the subtle intuition of air signs. You don't always need hard evidence. Sometimes, knowing is enough. In the modern world, especially for those who value relationships deeply, it's easy to dismiss these moments as overthinking. But there is wisdom in your sensitivity. And often, the way God or the universe, or your higher self answers is through the ordinary. Through people, through phrases, through moments that feel small but land like lightning. In many stories of transformation, the turning point isn't some epic event. It's a sentence that finally lands. A look that confirms a suspicion. A name that suddenly carries a weight it never had before. That's what's coming, Libra. Not to hurt you. To wake you. To free you. So stay awake. Stay grounded. Listen not just with your ears but with your presence. And when the sign arrives, and it will, then talk yourself out of it. Don't second guess your knowing. Trust the nudge. Trust the pause. Trust the person who shows up when no one else is watching. And trust yourself enough to act when truth finally makes its way through the cracks. If this reading resonates, take a breath and write down what you're beginning to sense. You don't need to explain it to anyone. You only need to be honest with yourself. Because the sign is not just coming. It's already on its way. And when it arrives, I want you to remember, this moment was made for you to recognize it. There's a moment in every soul's evolution when the very thing you've tried to walk away from comes rushing back with an unexpected softness. Not out of love, but out of strategy. Libra, what's coming toward you may look like a cry for help, a request for compassion, a vulnerable apology wrapped in emotion, but don't mistake the performance for a turning point. What you're about to experience is not a reconnection. It's a test. A final echo of the pattern you're breaking free from. And as much as your heart wants to believe the timing is genuine, this energy is not arriving to heal you. It's arriving to see if you're still available for manipulation. The emotional landscape of the next few days may feel confusing. You could receive messages laced with nostalgia, stories that trigger your empathy, or even carefully orchestrated chaos meant to disrupt your clarity. These are not random events. They're energetic pulls designed to lure you back into a version of yourself that you've outgrown. You might hear phrases like, "I'm lost without you," or "You're the only one who ever understood me." It may even come cloaked as a crisis, someone suddenly getting sick, losing a job, needing a shoulder, anything that activates your need to show up, to fix, to soothe. And while you have every right to care, you also have every right to protect your peace. What's important to understand here is that this is not about being heartless. This is about recognizing the difference between authentic vulnerability and emotional manipulation. And you, Libra, with your deeply empathic nature, must be especially aware of this line. Because when someone knows your kindness, your sense of justice, and your loyalty, they may try to use those very gifts against you. Not out of malice, but out of their own inability to grow. Your job is not to carry others through their refusal to evolve. Your job is to stand in the new vibration you've worked so hard to reach. From a frequency standpoint, you are rising. And with that rise, the law of attraction shifts. You begin attracting people, opportunities, and outcomes that reflect your truth instead of your wounds. But here's what often goes unnoticed. When your energy elevates, the old energy doesn't disappear quietly. It often pushes back. It clings. It transforms into something that looks like love or need, when in reality, it's the final thread of attachment trying not to be severed. This is where discernment becomes your greatest ally. This is when clarity is more powerful than compassion. Because if you surrender your boundaries to soothe someone else's chaos, you lose the very progress you've made. A simple practice in this moment is daily journaling. Write what you feel without judgment. Track your emotional triggers. Ask yourself, does this interaction leave me feeling whole or drained? Empowered or confused? Centered or displaced? You'll notice a pattern. You'll start to see where your soul tightens and where it expands. And in that awareness, you gain the power to choose differently. Another supportive tool is visualization. Each day, spend a few quiet moments imagining yourself surrounded by light. Picture a cord of energy from your heart connecting to theirs, and then gently, peacefully, cutting that cord. See the two of you surrounded in healing light, separate but safe. You're not sending harm. You're sending freedom. This is energetic closure without bitterness. Emotional sovereignty without war. If you've ever asked for a sign of whether it's truly time to let go, this is it. The next 96 hours are sacred. They are the final chapter of a story you've already rewritten internally. Now it's time to match your actions with the new narrative. Remember, you don't have to defend your decision. You only need to honor it. Because letting go of someone who misuses your empathy is not cruel, it's the highest form of self-respect. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is let go. Not because you're giving up, but because you're finally ready to grow beyond what has tried to contain you. And right now, the universe is whispering that you are ready. With Venus in harmonious trine to Jupiter, the energy of love, beauty, and abundance is aligning with the planet of divine expansion. This is not coincidence. This is cosmic permission to rewrite your story, and to do it from a place of freedom, not fear. The Star card reminds you that healing doesn't come as a reward, it comes as a return. A return to yourself. To your voice. To your light. To that soft but powerful place within you that still believes something better is possible, even after everything. And paired with the Two of Cups, this is more than just a message about romance, it's about energetic partnership. It's about relationships that meet you where you are, without you having to shrink or pretend. Relationships that see you, hold you, honor you. And yet, for this level of love and wealth to arrive, the room must be cleared. You can't carry the weight of old pain into a new promise. You can't pour truth into a vessel built to hold only lies. And you certainly cannot keep giving your light to those who only understand control as love. That's why the release you're being asked to step into is sacred. It is not rejection. It is redirection. Towards something higher, more honest, more aligned with who you're becoming. Light blue, the color connected to your throat chakra, appears now as a symbol of truth and freedom. This is not the loud kind of truth that demands attention, but the quiet, strong truth that sets you free. Wear it. Surround yourself with it. Let it remind you to speak kindly but clearly, not just to others but to yourself. What have you been saying to yourself in silence? Would you say that to a child you love? If not, it's time to rewrite the inner script. And here, I gently offer a story. I once met a woman who carried grief in her voice. Every word she spoke trembled between apology and exhaustion. She believed that if she stayed small enough, quiet enough, kind enough, she might be loved the way she needed. But love, real love, does not ask for silence. It doesn't ask you to dim. It calls you to rise. And the day she chose herself not in rage, but in radical clarity, everything shifted. The home she longed for showed up. The job she thought she'd never find, appeared. The loneliness she thought would never end, softened. Sometimes, faith looks like staying. Other times, it looks like walking away, head held high, into the unknown. And if your heart still wrestles with guilt, here's something to remember gently. New wine must be poured into new wineskins, or the vessel will break. These aren't just words from scripture, they are ancient truth. What is meant to bless you cannot survive in the container of who you used to be. The life waiting for you cannot live where you're pretending. So today, give yourself permission to hope again, to believe again, to choose love without settling, to invite in wealth without shame, to live free without apology. You are not broken. You are blooming. And what's coming isn't punishment, it's restoration. If you feel this truth stirring in you, I invite you to share it below. What are you ready to release? What are you ready to receive? Your comment isn't just a response, it's a declaration to the universe. Write it down and let your next chapter begin here. Libra, what just happened wasn't a breakdown, it was a breakthrough. The chaos you've been moving through wasn't here to destroy you. It was here to uncover the truth buried beneath layers of performance, obligation, and illusion. It cracked open the hardened soil of your past so that the gold of your authentic self could finally be unearthed. You've come to the end of something, yes, but more importantly, you've reached the beginning of who you're becoming. The universe didn't shut a door on you to punish you. It closed what was false to open what is true. And you, dear Libra, are the key. No one is coming to unlock it for you. Because the miracle is not someone showing up to save you, it's you choosing to release what's caged your spirit. It's you reaching for that inner switch and deciding to turn the light back on. So I ask you now, what are you finally ready to release? Who or what have you allowed to place you behind invisible glass, looking out but not living fully? And when was the last time you truly felt free to speak, feel, and love without apology? You see, freedom often begins in a whisper. And that whisper is saying, let go. Let go of the weight you were never meant to carry. Let go of the versions of yourself you created just to be loved. Let go of the waiting for someone else to give you permission. And if you're already feeling the call rising in your throat, don't hold it back. Write in the comments, I break every chain. I choose freedom. And as you do, notice how something shifts. Something unlocks. Something realigns. Then like this video to activate the truth you've just claimed. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot to stay in tune with the energy that's guiding your healing, your clarity, and your future. This is more than a channel. It's a space for your soul to come home. If you've made it this far, you're ready. So here's a little gift to support you further. Drink more water this week, especially infused with peppermint to help release throat chakra tension. Your body is processing deep truths it needs support to flush what no longer serves. Take vitamin D and zinc to uplift your spirit and stabilize your nervous system through this emotional transformation. Your body is as sacred as your spirit. Nourish it. Financially, rework your money goals. Set up a private savings account just for you. And don't entangle your financial future with someone who's not fully present or committed. When it comes to love, stop searching and start clearing. You don't need to find someone new. You need to make space for love that already has your name on it. Write a letter to your future self, 6 months from now. Tell them what kind of love you're ready to welcome, how you will be treated, how you will treat yourself. And always remember this, Libra, you were not abandoned, you were called. Called to a higher truth. A deeper alignment. A freer love. Only when you say goodbye to what is false can you truly say hello to what is meant. So take a breath. And step through the gate. On the other side, love, freedom, and truth are already waiting for you. Let me know in the comments. What will you leave behind and what will you now claim? This is your moment, Libra. Don't look back.